had never backpacked a day in my life. Let's do this! Woo! And here I am, 40 pounds overweight with this heavy pack, a lot of money in my pocket, and an endless amount of time. What have I done? What have I gotten myself into?
If I remember right, yeah, you grew up in Jackson Hole, right?
Actually, just south of Jackson Hole, a little town called Star Valley.
Okay.
Afton, with the God-given name, but not a lot of people know where Afton is. So
Yeah.
About 45 minutes south of Jackson. So when people in the world ask where I'm from, I just say the Jackson Hole area because everybody knows where Jackson Hole is.
Yeah, yeah. So not far from the Tetons, Yellowstone, right at your back door.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must have sucked. You know.
It wasn't bad at all.
So you probably grew up as outdoorsman just because of where you grew up, I imagine, huh?
Yeah, I was a very, very, very independent young man. My parents were divorced when I was about 14, and they both went away. One went to California, one went to Idaho, and I stayed in Wyoming and just kind of was passed around to relatives. So I was very independent. I latchkey. I had no rules. I kind of did my thing.
Yeah.
Fridays, I would hop on my horse or my motorcycle, and you wouldn't see me until Monday morning. So.
Wow.
Kind of very young, very independent, kind of grew up real fast. So.
We understand you're going to the PCT and we want you to take it with you. It's a little heavy, but we'll make room.
So the plaque says, Unified Police Department of Greater Salt Lake presents this retirement plaque to Sergeant Jason Ashment with great honor and recognition for loyal and dedicated service to the citizens of Salt Lake County and the state of Utah.
Excellent.
From April of 1998
Excellent.
to April of 2018. We, your friends and brothers, present this to you as a symbol of life's long friendship. We wish you all the best in your retirement. And this is a quote from Joe Green. Love yourself and realize that whatever you attempt to achieve in life is a direct reflection of you.
How do you end up from, the guy on the beat to the guy on the trail? Yeah.
It was about 2016, and I was director of security for a couple of different ski resorts, Solitude Ski Resort and Brighton Ski Resort here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And so one night, I was doing my thing in my patrol car, and I worked all night long, and I was watching a movie, as we can do, while we're up there in the patrol car and in the parking lot, and it was, I can't remember the exact name of it. It was the Robert Redford and A Walk in the Cloud. Nick Nolte, I think it was, and they were
Okay.
two gentlemen got together after years and years of being apart, and they were elderly. They were older than me, and they were going to hike the Appalachian Trail. And I watched that, and it lit a fire in my soul. So I started researching it, and in researching the Appalachian Trail, I learned of this longer trail closer to my house in Utah. And I thought, if the AT would be cool at 2,100 miles, how cool would the PCT be at 2,650? And I hit my 20 years, April 4th of 2018. I was sitting at my computer. I took that day off. It was, I want to say, the 15th of November, the 1st of November. I forget what day it was, so it would be 2017. And I had a friend that I had made online in Colorado, actually, I think Colorado Springs. And we were talking on the phone on a voice text chat. And she got through and got her permit, but I was using my police computer. And there's a firewall, so I kept getting timed out. So she actually said, "Give me your name, give me your date of birth, give me your," and filling it in, and there was one day left when she got to that. It was April 6th, and she hit enter, and about 30 minutes later, I got the notification that I had got my permit for April 6th of 2018. I had my 20 years April 4th of that same year. If I would not have gotten my permit, I wouldn't have retired that year.
Wow.
So getting the permit 2 days after my 20-year eligibility date, it sealed the deal. I knew at that point. I went in the very next day. I typed up my letter of resignation. I went and gave it to my chief. He said he wasn't going to accept it until about March. So I was off his desk for 5 months. And then but getting the permit, I knew I was going to retire. I knew I was done. My card had been stamped. My dance card was full. I was finished with it. I felt good about leaving on the top of my game. I had transitioned back into patrol, so I wasn't at a desk anymore. But getting that permit, that was it. It was a sign, and I retired on the 4th and got on a plane to go to Campo, or to Camp San Diego on the 5th, stayed at Scout and Photos. On the 6th, I hit the trail 2 days after I retired. So I've always kept it real. This is very real.
Right.
I had never backpacked a day in my life before I started in Campo at the Southern Terminus. Now, I've hunted my whole life and done some guiding, but that's different. You know, a 12-pound rifle, 4-pound shoes, a 5-pound day pack. It's not hiking. It's, every night you go back to a tent or a trailer. The first day I'd actually hiked was April 6th when I set foot from the Southern Terminus.
Did you set up your tent before you even left?
It was a Z-Pack, so it was a little different. I started at the Southern Terminus with, I want to say, a 40-pound pack. I learned very quickly the difference between wants and needs.
Yep.
I just, and I had people reaching out to me, some fairly well-known thru hikers, and they reached out to me and they gave me. But I had, as Type A personality, I had to learn it for myself. Right. I had to hit Julian and send home 15 pounds, and I hit Kennedy Meadows and sent home another 12 pounds, and I evolved as a hiker. I think a lot of people do. It's just the PCT was the first. That was it for me. That was ground zero. That was the first. So, everybody, this is Mrs. Fish Tank. She goes by Allyson in the real world.
Yes. Hi.
Oh, Allyson in real world. Okay, so Jason, the family man, right? Devoted husband, devoted dad. You saw that a lot in the videos, and you could see his heart. Almost in the same kind of position that I was. You have a number of years left to work. You have bills to pay. You have kids at home. Your wife's going to stick there for months and take care of everything while you're out. I can imagine, just knowing you a little bit, that it was probably a family decision, a discussion, right? And then, so how did you get to okay from there?
I just, there was just no question about it. Like, why would it not be okay for him to go? I just don't feel like life is about just living the Groundhog Day type of mentality where it's, you get up for work Monday through Friday and you do the grind and you do it all over again the next week. If your family allows it and you have the capability financially with the, and with family support, why not go and do these dreams? Why not go and do these exciting things that you will not have regrets about? And that's how I've always looked at it. I found it as a very exciting thing for him to do and very healthy for him to do. There's no way of not supporting it. And, it definitely was a family decision because it is a chunk of time to be gone. He had to trust me of taking care of everything, finances, the house, the decisions with the kids, knowing that there was going to be times where I couldn't reach him on the satellite phone if, which I did. I was able to reach him.
The satellite texter, the Garmin.
Yeah, the Garmin. Yeah. But, I was on my own. My personal opinion is a very, very good example for our children because they saw me as a mother and a wife, very supportive of my partner, and also being the role model of being able to be self-sufficient, or these girls to know that they are capable of doing things. They don't have to rely necessarily on a partner to do things. They can do it.
So let me ask you this. Was he different when he got back?
Yeah, I mean, besides being thinner and really seen, but
I never had a beard or this.
yeah, he didn't have. I've never known him to have long hair or facial hair. He had a different demeanor, a calmer demeanor about him. He's always been very intense. He came home and he's very mellow and just adventurous, more adventurous. Like, what can I do now? What adventure can I do now? And he's an adrenaline junkie, so it's kind of fun to see him pursue different adventures. But yeah, I think it changed his thinking and his trust into people more than he had. He's always been a little jaded, and the job just did it to him. And the other thing is, like, why not? Life is so short, and with my mom who got cancer, you can just see that in an instant life changes.
Yeah.
You don't go and live your life, then you will have regrets. And so
Live out loud.
that's right.
Thanks, Allie. I appreciate it. Hand in your resignation letter. The day comes. I saw you give your little speech in front of everyone, and you jumped in your buddy's car and you're off to the airport.
You know how
And
how big I was.
I wasn't going to say that.
I'm huge. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well,
My friend,
I thought.
Officer Lowther, he picked me up at, I want to say 2:30 or 3 in the morning. And, I left at 2:30 or 3 in the morning because I didn't, saying goodbye to my kids already hard enough. We just felt that they knew when they woke up I'd be gone. So it was just, he came and got me. It happened fast. I hugged my wife. I gave her a kiss and out the door.
That's the way to do it. It's a Band-Aid thing, 2 days later, you're at the Mexican border, putting your finger through the hole, hugging the monument. What's going through your head?
What have I gotten myself into? Because I had so widely publicized what I was doing. Everybody in a 500 to 600 man police department knew. 1,000-man sheriff's department knew, and I was a supervisor over there for a while. So many people knew. I remember you start walking, I'm just thinking, what have I done? I was loving it, don't get me wrong, but the reality set in.
Yeah.
To watch Scout and Frodo's vans pull away, and that place just kind of pours out like when you turn on the light and cockroaches just go everywhere. And here I am, 40 pounds overweight with this heavy pack, a wad of money in my pocket, and an endless amount of time. What have I done?
Okay, you start heading north, right? You just head north. you go through the desert. I'm gonna make the story short because I want people to watch the videos. But you go through the desert. You get to the Sierras. Done with the high Sierras. You're coming down into Lake Tahoe area. So, what happened there? Can you take us through that?
Yeah, so I'd been hiking, and those of you that watched the video, but I'd made some friends that will be my friends forever, and that was Feinschmecke and Chef, Chris and Rebecca from San Diego, and been hiking with them, and all along their whole plan was really just to get to 704 Kennedy Meadows. They're familiar with that area. That was their plan. When we got to Kennedy Meadows, I talked them into going to Sonora Pass. I was pushing the whole, you'll be a part of that 1,000-miler club. And I think Sonora Pass is 1,016.9, but in fact, I know that. When we got to Sonora Pass, I knew that they were going home. And I'd been talking with my wife, and the girls really needed to see me. Allyson needed to see me. So we knew my wife was coming in, and I knew my mother-in-law's cancer had hit, but I didn't know how bad it was. And so when we got into South Lake Tahoe, I got there the day before, or a few hours before they got there. I remember talking to Feinschmeck and Chef, and I knew they were getting off trail, but Hoover was just not too far from us. Hook up with Hoover again, and me and Hoover and Magneto, we're going to power forward. But I spent a couple days in South Lake Tahoe, and two things happened. Allyson arrived and told me how bad her mom's cancer actually was. In fact, the first night we were in South Lake Tahoe, she had an emergency surgery and actually flatlined on the hospital bed, and we almost. The decision was made then. I'm done. I got to go back home. In the meantime, the fires at 18 hit so hard. Right in front of me, they had closed about, I want to say 50 or 60 miles of the trail. And hikers were getting off at South Lake Tahoe. And I want to say they were hitching up to Sierra City or one of those areas. And in my ignorance, I wanted A through Z in consecutive order. That's part of the Type A cop personnel.
Right. Yep.
I just couldn't see myself skipping. So with the fires and without Mom, it just made sense. I need to head home. It was a difficult yet a very easy decision to make.
Yeah.
So I came home, but not for very long, if you remember. So home, and Allyson's mom, it turns out her flatlining wasn't directly related to the cancer. It was due to a surgery for the cancer. Something got nicked. They were able to fix it, and she immediately started really improving. So the immediate threat was gone. So then I decided, I'm sitting at home alone. I've got no job. It's still beautiful weather, and I'm going back on the trail. So a couple weeks later, after getting off the trail, I want to say 2 to 3 weeks later, I knew the bubble was ahead of me. I knew finishing that year was not going to happen. I was 500, 400 miles behind people. But I hopped on a train, the California Zephyr, and I went back and got on trail, and I want to say I did like another 170 miles. I made it to Donner Pass.
Right.
Part of that was me planning for the following year. I was thinking to myself, where do I want to start next year? And, that California Zephyr gets right off in Reno, and I knew it's an easy 5 or 6 miles right to the trailhead versus trying to get all the way back to Sonora Pass, which in 2019 wouldn't have happened due to the snow. The road wasn't even open when I went through in June. So it all worked out. It all worked out well.
And I'll be back. Come April, I'll be back. I got 1,300 miles left in me. The fish tank will walk again. Live out loud.
So then you come back in 2019.
7th of 2019.
And you probably should have taken some snowshoes or something because there's a ton of snow.
Waited till June because my oldest daughter, Savannah, she graduated from high school
Right.
on the 6th of June. So I stayed for her graduation. We hosted the after party up at one of the recreation centers. And then that night, 1 a.m, I hopped on the Zephyr off to Reno. I stayed with Turtle, and Pink joined us, and Magic Man, and we hit the trail June 7th at the top of Donner Pass. And I remember looking down into tree wells, and there was 25 to 27 feet of snow for a long, like 200 or 300 miles.
Yeah, I remember you were getting a handful of miles a day, 8 miles a day or whatever. And that was exhausting.
Yeah. Wouldn't have changed a thing, though. I wouldn't change a thing if I could go back, and I wouldn't have changed a thing.
Well, it seems to me like you got it all. You got everything the trail had to offer.
I hit the Mojave with triple digits, 150 degrees. I hit the high Sierras when the vistas and the beautiful lakes and the flowers. There wasn't snow. I got 26, 27 feet of snow from Donner Pass to Sierra City and beyond. So I experienced the epic snows and the river crossings. I remember I went through an ice bridge.
Right. Yep.
Double take. Very lucky I even survived that. So yeah, I had it all. And this last year, not a fire to be seen. So I was shocked. To this day, I lacked 31 miles of the PCT, and I'm doing it this summer. But it's 31 miles that was closed due to fire last year. So I couldn't have done anything. But looking at what people had to do this year and how many, or 2019, and flip flop A to Z. I very, very lucky.
So you picked up 2019, had all that fun, finished up the Sierras. Oregon, right? And you get into the Cascades, and you finally finish up the September 19th. Pretty emotional.
Yeah.
Not just then, but
Yeah.
but you know, it's that. I think that's what makes your videos unique, because you didn't spare anybody anything. You know, it was just the real raw experience of the PCT. There's too many people out there, as I think you might have mentioned, that just give you the good parts. They kind of glamorize it. You know, they take the beautiful pictures and tell you how great life is, when you know, most of the time, you know, it's hard to stand up on your feet. You know, it takes you 10 minutes to get moving in the morning. You know, and you stink, and it's you're dirty. Sometimes you're wet for days and you're cold. You know, all that, you know, but, you know, you never spared us from any of that. And I think that's what makes this whole story kind of unique compared to other things that I watched out there on the PCT. So I think that took a lot of guts.
I really appreciate that. You know, I think it's like you said, and I'll just reiterate a little to not take more of, you know, time than I need to, but before someone attempts a through hike like this or a long distance hike like this, researching. The best way to research something nowadays is watch vlogs of people that have done it. And the one issue I had was, it was all just high fives and hugs and, you know, teddy bears and flowers. And I wanted to give people a realistic this is what it is. And I'm a very confident individual. I don't care if people see me cry. It doesn't affect my manhood one single bit. I have absolutely no problem with that. And anybody that's watched any of my videos see that. You know, I got to be careful right now, Dave. Right now, even talking about that trail, I'll tear up just because of the emotion it brings and my absolute love for, like I said in my videos, 18 inches wide, 2650 miles long. I'm in love with that trail, and it will bring out emotions. And I just felt it was important to give people a realistic expectation, because I didn't have a realistic expectation when I started, because I'd watched all these vlogs of all these people that did it. They never had a hard day, and it was a little misleading. So that's why I kind of, about my videos, I keep it real.
The trail becomes a part of you, right? You've heard that. You probably said it. I know I have. True for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's so much the trail becomes a part of you or you become a part of it, but this happened. And for me, it wasn't just the trail. It was, what have I said over and over? It's the people that you meet. It's the people that you meet. It's the trail towns. It's the trail magic. It's the trail angels. It's the laying in your tent at night, picking out chunks of skin on your heels and packing up wounds. It's just everything just combines to make it just a beautiful, epic, wonderfully difficult, impossible event that is I'll cherish forever.
Hardest thing you've ever done physically?
Yeah. But I don't want to lead into one of your other questions, but I don't think the physical aspect is the hardest part of the trip. Extremely difficult. I hurt every day. I cried most evenings. But that wasn't the hardest part of the trail. Yeah.
I have a friend of mine who's prepping to do the CT now. He's a little overweight and stuff, but he's not, you know, out of shape. I mean, he could do this, but physically. But I was talking to him the other day. I said, it'll take you a week, maybe 2 weeks to physically prepare yourself for the trail. It just doesn't take much. You start off slow, you won't hurt yourself, and you just keep building up and you'll be fine.
The desert takes care of that.
I said, but it's it's a thing between your ears that's going to kill this or make it successful.
People have asked me, you know, what do I need to do physically to prepare myself to hike the PCT? If you are in relatively decent shape, okay, you can hike the PCT. You've got 700 miles to prepare you for the big ups and the big downs. Kennedy Meadows does that. It's the mental aspect. It's the support from home. You cannot, in my opinion, you can't be worried about things at home. You can't be worried about stress because it's going to take everything you have every day to get up at that 5:30, 6 o'clock, pack up your house, put it on your back, hike through the snow, the rain, the wind, the blaring heat, filtering all your water, digging holes, wiping your you got to have 100% invested in that. And it's the mental aspect is the hardest part of the trail, in my opinion.
Yeah. I read that from others, but I didn't know what that meant until you just do it. You know, I mean, you don't know how deep you have to dig. You know?
Yeah. It's you find new reasons, and but after a while, it gets it really gets fun. It was fun for me to hurt. One of my favorite things to do, Dave, was I'll never forget walking into Tehachapi with Little John. We stunk so bad. We went to a steakhouse. I want to say it was called Jake's, and it was a high-end steak. Linens with candles on the tables, okay? But we walked into that place like we owned it, and we hurt, and we were bleeding. But people shook our hands and high-fived us, and that becomes very addictive to where you quickly forget about the blisters and the toenails falling off and the backaches and the big raw blisters. You forget all that because you're riding on top of the world.
You lost like 50 pounds, right?
Did. Yeah, I lost 40-something when I came home in 2018. And, you know, you gain it back because you're not going to maintain 20 to 30 miles a day with that. And I gained back maybe 25. And then when I went back in 2019, last year, I started in 26, 27 feet of snow at Donner.
Yeah.
I was killing myself for 5 to 6 miles a day, and the weight fell off of me. I came home about 165, and I'm at a pretty good weight right now at about 200. I try to keep it under 200. I'm maybe 202 today. I lost a lot of weight. I lost weight way too fast.
So recovery. Are you still recovering?
You know, when I got home in 2018, I got to Sour Pass 1016.9, and then I went back and I went to 1157. 2018, I had a hard time recovering. For a good 2 months, I had that hiker hobble when I got up out of bed or I'd be laying down. My knees and my Achilles and my calves. I actually went to a doctor because I thought this shouldn't take this long. And he said, man, you just did what the body's not intended to do, and you were so out of shape and so overweight when you started. He said, it's just going to take time. I had x-rays. Everything was fine. It took a couple of months to get to where I could get up from a sit-in position or a prone position and not have that 20 feet of hobble. When I came home in 19, it only lasted a couple of days, really. The Pacific Crest Trail has absolutely broken my heart. And I never knew what that meant. And for me, it broke my heart because I absolutely fell in love with it. And then you got to learn a way to balance this life with that life, trying to find a way to balance the two loves. And this is my first love, my wife, my 2 girls, my home, the security, but I love the trail. And I don't mean just the PCT. I love the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so that's it's a juggling act. There was one other instance I will talk about. I've never told anybody this before, and it's the 2018 class that this happened to. I am so sorry. That's a 612. And there's a really epic camp spot. There's a great, big, enormous rock. And I found my way to climb up on this rock. And the rock was probably about twice the size of my house with a really cool flat top. But it was very difficult to get up there. But I found a hollowed out spot. I laid my stuff in it. I went to bed. This rock had sheer cliffs, and I was probably 60, 70 feet in the air. I went to bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night extremely sick. It was one of those sicknesses where I knew I had to get out of that tent, out of that sleeping bag, and my pants down literally in seconds, or I was going to destroy it. So long story short, I jumped up. It's pitch black. I'm feeling my way around. I fell about 6 feet off of a rock down into a crevasse, I did my thing. Instantly, I felt better. I think I had some bad tuna or some bad cheese. I don't know what it was. The next morning, I woke up to people screaming and swearing. Unbeknownst to me, after I had gone to bed, people had come in and put their tents down below. But I remember just laying there thinking, please don't crawl up this rock. And you're talking about maybe it was a plane that had gone over. And so extreme, yeah, that's the one thing that did not, my wife just said terrible, but that's the one thing that did make me glad. I feel bad to this day. It wasn't on purpose, and I feel horrible.
Well, you, my friend, have been a source of inspiration and motivation for a lot of people. And that's going to continue for as long as you have your YouTube channel up there. I'm sure you're going to get comments. People will keep commenting on it for years to come. And I wanted to acknowledge that with you because we hiked, we started our hikes the same year, but when I got back, it was a good source for me to remind me, of why I love the trail so much. I just felt like I was there with you for a lot of the way. So
David,
I appreciate that.
Really, really, I'm truly humbled, and I really appreciate that. I will give a shout out to Mrs. Fish Tank.
For sure.
She's made all the videos. And I'm so, it's crazy. If you remember, I had a school from England. Remember that video where a school from England was actually following my...
Oh, yeah.
A school from England at a charter school following my videos. A bunch of kids came to school one day wearing shirts that said Fish Tank, totally epic. Their mantra at this school was live out loud. This charter school in the UK.
Wow.
And so they contacted me, the administration did, and they thanked me. They said, we want to thank you for having content that is so wholesome that we never have to worry about it. So what we do is every Friday we open up the headmaster's gymnasium, and while the kids eat lunch, we play your videos. And I always kept it family friendly, but that really hit home when I've got these 15 and 14-year-old kids in the UK sending me emails and texts and Instagram messages. And I mean, I've got messages from the South Pacific and all over the world. People are, Moscow, and using Google Translate it's just been extremely humbling.
Yeah.
The vlog has more, the vlog originally, David, the vlog originally was just us, the family. That's all it was, and it kind of just took off. And it didn't take off crazy like, Dixie or Darwin or Second Chance. But it was never intended for that. It was intended just as a video journal diary for us as a family.
Right.
So to answer your question, yes, something is planned. I have not yet announced that to anybody. I will do it here with you I have announced
wow.
it. But April of 2021, so what's that, 11 months from now?
Yeah.
It's going to hike the Appalachian Trail. Yeah.
Giddy up.
Yeah. I'm going to do the AT. So I don't plan on doing the whole thing at once because I really stumbled into a wonderful job. I just don't feel good about saying, hey, I need 5 to 6 months, boss. But I'm pretty sure I can swing 3. So I'm going to do 3 months of the Appalachian Trail next year, and I'll do the following year. So I'll break it up just like I did the PCT.
Right.
This time it will be intended. And I think for a 50-year-old guy, I just think that is the smartest thing to do. You enjoy it. You get to look forward to it 2 years in a row. You get that break in between. You're not out there killing yourself. So that's the plan.
Jason from 3 years ago is watching this now. What do you tell him?
You go, boy. Yeah! Woo! You did it!
About love, man.
You did it, man. You did it. And stay off that rock at mile 612. Bad things are going to happen. That's what I would tell him. And in all seriousness, David, I would would look at that kid, that young man, and I would say, enjoy every minute. Enjoy every minute. Enjoy this, grace for the suck, as they say, because when you get home, you're going to miss it more than you can even imagine. Because not a day goes by that I don't think of the Pacific Crest Trail. And I miss it horribly. I do. I'm in love. I have a love affair with that trail, the culture, the people, the trail angels, that vagabond hippie lifestyle. I'm in love with it. And I would just tell that person, enjoy it, because it's amazing. Well, thanks for having me. And like always, I hope this finds you healthy, happy. Finish it for me.
And well.
There you go.
Fish tank out.
Thanks, my friend.
Later, man. See you later.
But the traditional thru hiker's mentality is if you don't do it in a year, you failed. And it's very self-imposed. It's, I'm home and tell people, well, I only hiked 1,019 miles. You hiked 1,000, but yourself, you got this feeling of I didn't do it. It's not about the miles. It's about every step along the way.